see the great huge harvest of all the world, and we see the death bells and chimes sounding, and we see North Korea throwing crazy words and missiles randomly, and we see the world like mad going after death, so that the Grim Reaper is shouting words of New World death, not New World Order, not New World anything, just death and destruction. Now the Bible teaches us quite clearly that there's going to be an end time battle, and included at this particular time, I believe, is the kings of the east. For it says the river Euphrates was dried up, as the Bible teaches, and then it says once the Euphrates was dried up, it says that the kings of the east came over, and then to the final battle of the day of God, and we're told that involves Gog and Magog, and it describes the Christian church, the saints, being attacked. Revelation 20 verse 8. And we need to bear this in mind, that the two go hand in hand. The destruction of those who worship and served what? The creature. It says that all they had was material things. It's all they lived for. Now this material gain and this thing, worship of the 666, in the mind, in the head, and in the heart, if you like. It's somebody who is always striving for perfection, I believe. Somebody who is always, constantly 666, the mark of a man. Somebody who is always perpetually looking at the material things of this world. And it says, neither repented they of their fornications, murders, thefts, witchcraft, and all those things were associated with it. This Gog and Magog surrounding the Christian church, the great big giant communistic socialism, the great big giants of formal state religions, where the state church is allowed, but the underground or the persecuted Christian church is not allowed. That sort of scenario. Now, the Bible says in the last days that the servants of God will turn and begin to beat God's servants, in that parable there in Matthew chapter 24, because it says, my Lord will delay his coming. And Jesus talks about the hypocrite religions. They're people who've got a form of godliness but deny the power thereof, and they're quite happy to bless them in all kinds of war and destruction and death. And the thing is, when the Bible says the true church of Jesus Christ is the church which looks after the widows, the orphans, the poor, the destitute, the ones who spread the word of truth as it is in the Bible. And if the Bible says it goes against those who are natural or fornicators or adulterers, the Bible says that's what we once were. We were like that, but it says they became born again, changed into a new person, so that the old things were passed away, the old life has passed away, so that whatever the people were, adulterers and fornicators and thieves and everything else, it says that such were some of you, but ye are washed, ye are sanctified, justified, in the Spirit, by the Spirit of our God. Now the thing is, we must preach the word as it is, and we adhere to it, and if there's persecution from the state and persecution from those who have a form of godliness, then there's nothing can be done about it. So the thing is, nothing much can be done about that once persecution happens. But I'm just pointing out the simple fact that if you've got somewhere in the region of you've got some in the region of this particular end time scenario with the church, then we're talking about a situation where North Korea could start using nuclear bombs strapped to missiles and doing destruction in 2019 to 2022. How do I get that scenario at that date and time? Well, I look at the time where it talks about a day, a month and a year and an hour, and Revelation in it, that's 9 and 15, and if we go back 376 years, it takes us back to the time of Cromwell with his guns, and he perfected his cannon warfare. The reason why I go back to that time, because 376 years from the first civil war in Britain, 85,000 died in the war. Anyway, led to 200,000. Anyway, the thing is, the wars which went on were descriptive because they match with the time of wings, which is in Revelation chapter 9, where it talks about it flew like with wings, that type of thing. The creature went into the air, and the only scenario I can see for that is the bombs and the aeroplanes in the First World War. So the 200 million who die, or connected to death in some way, 200 million, that figure, in verse 16, Revelation chapter 9, it follows the same time zone as the flying creature. 150 days is 150 years in the Bible, which is the 5 months. And that being the case, we're talking about 150 years with a flying creature which spat out fire, brimstone and smoke. And that creature, if you like, it has a connection to the 1,290 days, in that sense that that's the 1,290 years, okay, which was the time of the when the two prophets were in the street, which I believe the Old and New Testament kept in Latin for 1,260 days. And that being the case, the 1,260 days ended with Martin Luther. Okay? And Martin Luther is, believe you me, it's to do with the Reformation and that. And the time after that is the time of the winged creatures. But just remember that Martin Luther was like 1540, and then like 100 years after that we talk about 1643, which was the time zone and scenario for the next phase, which was the preparation he talks about for 376 years, 376 days. And that takes us up to the only time zone which takes us up to the winged creature which spat out fire, brimstone and smoke out of the face of a man. It sounded like the sound of the chariots. So, yeah. Hello. Yeah. It makes a nice film when you can see all that dust come off it. So, yeah, looking at the history of so Cromwell and his cannon, 376 years later, led us to the time scenario for the First World War, 1914. That's what we're on about. So anyway, better go.